Hello, folks, and welcome to this week's example of the insane incoherence of U.S. conservative economic thinking, played out in two parts. Part A is the example of conservative economic thinking as embodied by BofA, who is drooling over the prospect of high unemployment driving down their wage costs. Part B, in the real economy, high inflation contributed to the failure of First Republic Bank as individuals and businesses burned through their accounts to pay their bills.
A memo from Bank of America executive shows that the bank warns that more people need to lose their job. That's their memo. It's better if more people lose their job because then there's competition. And you see, if you have one job and you have 5 people competing for the one job, that's better? It's better for the Chamber of Commerce, right? Because we can hold down wages, we can hold down benefits. That's what this is all about, right?
In short, large whales like BofA are motivated to wreck the rest of the economy, chasing profits.
Do we have a First Republic problem or a banking problem?
Well, I think we have both, and I think it's somewhat naive to say that this is just limited to First Republic. But I think what we've actually seen is that the deposit outflows just didn't occur because they occurred. They occurred because businesses and households are burning cash in a big way. And it's the higher price of everything, and it's the higher cost to finance everything. So if you're in the couple lower quintile as in the bottom 40% of the population, 40% of the American population. Of earners in the U.S., we're already seeing in the Chase data that you're depleting your deposit balances because of the higher cost of groceries just to live, and businesses, as they're rolling over their floating rate funding, it's double or triple what they put it on.
Okay, this is the third point that hasn't been discussed enough. Point 1 is worries about return of capital. You take it out of a beleaguered financial institution, park it somewhere else. Point 2 is about return on capital. You take it out of a bank, give it to a money market fund. You're on to point 3. You're saying that there's that much pain out there right now that we're just burning through money in the United States.
Of course we are. When you could look at our own Chase data, you could look at the Federal Reserve Board data, you see that the bottom quintile of earners have been most punished by the high price of everything. So that excess savings that they accumulated during the CARES Act, they've blown right through it. Their deposit balances are below where they went into COVID. Now, they're not frittering it away on stuff, they're spending it to live off of. We're looking at revolving credit at now the highest rate of usage in a long time. And by the way, putting more stuff on your credit card is not being used to consume more, it's going to service your debt. And we already know when you talk to businesses, the pressures they're feeling about the cash burn on the new rate of floating rate debt.
To attract more people.
But if you got 5 people going after the one job, you say, I'm sorry, Mary, I'm sorry, Joe, we just don't pay that much. We don't pay minimum wages. You know, we pay slave wages. We don't give you insurance. We don't give you any benefits. But you know what? If you don't want the job, there's 5 people right behind you. That's what this memo is about. Yeah.
But this isn't supposed to be how markets and indeed capitalism is supposed to operate. And in fact, high profits are a sign of dysfunction, as even a lawyer can point out.
You had to take, economics. We had to study Adam Smith. I had to study Adam Smith. And I forgot what he said until I saw it in this article. But I remember this issue coming up in that course. And he says, look, it's not high wages that are the problem. That's what he said, because an economy builds from the bottom up. That if you give people high wages, it improves the entire economy, GDP, everything. He said the problem is high profits. He says because high profits is where things go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bank of America is still making money hand over fist, as most Wall Street banks are. And they want desperation. They want somebody so desperate for a job because there's no other options that they're willing to go and work for these horrendous wages, the horrible conditions, the long hours with no overtime, whatever it is. But we don't have that right now. And even economists, these horrible economists that we have in this country, are telling us, no, we need more unemployment to help with inflation. No, we don't. We have to get to the heart of it, which is this corporate greed, to address that issue.
Bludgeon the worker back in line. That's what this is about. Bludgeon the worker back in line. And the economy doesn't benefit because there's no money coming in at the bottom of the economy to build from the bottom up. Adam Smith is right. That's what he was talking about when he talked about this very thing.
We have an economy that isn't about markets or competition any longer. It's basically economic and corporate class warfare between the extremely rich end of the economy pillaging the rest of it. Regional banks live and die on local economic vibrancy. As that vibrancy dies, they die, and so goes the nation. The invisible hand never applied to too big to fail monstrosities. The invisible hand addresses the pursuits of individual craftsmen and their interests, which are very different from the motives of what are modern-day monetary feudal lords, who, I might add, seem to think that the whole point of the economy is to find out who can amass the largest pile of money to sleep on, like Smog, the dragon. We have the world's largest economic entities drooling over the prospect of our financial ruin in the hopes that they can make a killing off of it. And this is the essence of American business economic thinking, and indeed conservative economic thinking. Doesn't it just ooze that old-time feeling of hot dogs and apple pie?
Do it.